Hi, I'm Jenny. Welcome to my channel where we focus on using ordinary materials to make beautiful things. I'm going to do something a little bit different with this series. I am going to walk you through how I do a commissioned piece of art. I currently don't have a commission, but I have a piece of art that my husband has been bugging me to make for our own house. So I wanted to walk you through the process of what happens when I get a commission and how I deal with that and what the steps are to create a custom piece of artwork for somebody. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's take a look. So the first step in creating a piece of art for somebody, let me flip this way, is to jot down an idea. So for the piece of art that I'm going to create, I have a very large photo canvas that I'm going to show you in just a minute that will be hanging in an entryway in my home. And so the idea is to create a piece of art that represents home and both my husband and I and my feelings about it, and something that we can look at and maybe start a conversation about home, things with people we know, things like that. So usually when I do a quick little thing for a client, I clean it up and make it all nice and do a better drawing. But because it's just me, I just threw down in my sketchbook some ideas, and this is quite a few pages back. So I had this idea a good while ago. It just hasn't gotten done, because other jobs have gotten in the way. But my husband has been pushing me to make this, and since I don't have a current commission, now's a good time. So what I do is I just kind of do a basic layout. This is basically how it's going to look, and I kind of write in notes. So I'm sure this is hard to read on the camera, but this is the background will be collaged papers, music, book pages, maybe some printed napkins. My husband is a musician. I was an English teacher for 28 years, so book pages are a good representation of who I am. I have a degree in creative writing, and my husband has a degree in choral music and a master's in musical theater. So those two things would be a good background for something that would represent us in our home. The tree, I'm gonna draw and paint. I'll just do like painting using some acrylic paints on the tree trunk. And then all of this part will be yarn, fibers, things that I'm just gonna swirl around. I may try to, throw some branches in there that are paint and then swirl the fibers and things on top of them. That kind of stuff. I might use something that's more dimensional for the branches. I'm not sure yet, but that's sort of the idea. A lot of times I get down a basic idea, and then as I'm working, new ideas come to me, or how I might do something occurs to me. So I have a starting place, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of wiggle room in how it's going to get done eventually. For the house, I plan on doing something that looks like applique fabric. So I'm thinking like if it were a quilt and it had like a house pattern on a quilt, how would that look? So this will be fabric. And then I think maybe little fabric windows. I might use some little snippets of lace glued on for curtains. So there'll be some little embellishment kind of things for the chimney and the door and the windows. Not sure exactly how I'm going to do that yet, but I'm thinking I'll probably cut out squares on those and put some lace on them. I might sew that on and then put it over the top, glue it on top. Or I might, cut out the piece and sew that stuff on and sew it all together before I glue it down so that it looks more quilted. I was thinking I might put a little batting behind it so it has that homespun quilting quality to it. I think that would be a nice nod to the past. I have quilts from grandmothers on both sides of my family. So that might be a nice nod to something like that. So up here, that might be more fiber coming out of this, more yarn or something as smoke, or it could be a line of beads, something like that. This big bush here will be the same kind of thing as the tree, different fibers, but same idea. So the flowers, I plan on making the flowers out of paper. I'll cut some stems and I'll cut some leaves and different shapes and things and put those down. And then I'll either put down a basic flower pattern that I'll cover with pieces of broken jewelry, or I'll just put those directly on as the flowers on the top. So that will be pieces of broken jewelry. I usually incorporate jewelry somewhere in my projects. Not every project has it, but pretty much every project has, you know, something that you might consider jewelry. It might just be a chain, a broken chain, something like that. But not, you know, I'm not saying everything has it, but most things do for sure. So that's going to be a way to incorporate some jewelry. And then the path will be little stones, but they'll be buttons. So I'm going to use buttons to make the path. And so you can see I've made some notes here, blues, sky, cloud textures, stencils maybe up in this area, and then greens, grass, ground stencils. So once I get the background collage layer on, I might stencil some color over it. I might paint all of it. It's possible that I will tear out some book pages that have the color in it to use throughout those. But I want a lot of blues, greens, and yellows. The entry hall it's going in has a very large turquoise piece of furniture in it. So I want to be sure to pull in some of that blue-green with that. So this is the plan. As I said, if I were doing this for a client, I would put that out on grid paper. It would all be drawn exactly to show what it looks like. There would be, you know, a key with little arrows of what this is going to be in that. But because it's mine, I don't need to create that detailed of a layout to communicate the idea, because I know what the idea is. It's in my head, and it's kind of just a reminder in my sketchbook so that I know where I'm going. So that's always where I start, is with an idea and a plan, which I can adapt as I go. So that's step one. Okay, so this is the picture that I'm going to use as a basis for the piece of art that I'm going to create. As you can see, I have kind of stood it up here in my studio and backed off a little bit. This is very large. It is a photo, obviously, of Paris and the Eiffel Tower that hung in our bedroom for a long time, and then we redecorated and I've kind of changed the scheme, and I took it down and put up some different art. So I have this very large photo printed on a canvas in a frame that came from Ikea that I will be using to construct the piece of art. So the next time you see this, the first step will be to gesso out the whole thing. So the next time you see this, it will be covered in gesso and ready to begin the project. So here it is, all gessoed out. You can see there's still shadows of the photograph behind it, but that doesn't matter because you can't really tell what anything is. And it's really just about creating a surface that I can adhere things to more easily. I don't have to worry about it not sticking to the slick photograph. I want to point out that I gessoed out the frame as well. It was just kind of a brushed steel looking metallic frame that I didn't think was going to go with the piece that I am constructing. So I put gesso over the frame as well, just to give it some tooth. Right now I'm thinking that I'm going to probably go ahead and collage over the frame as well. I might paint it, but then I might paint it with something that's a thinner wash so that you can still see the paper under it. I'm not really sure yet what I'm going to do with that frame. And you can see there's the Eiffel Tower still. This is upside down at this point, but it doesn't really matter because it's just a large piece of gessoed out canvas. So the idea here really is to use whatever picture you might have. Maybe you have something laying around your house that you took down, you don't really love it anymore, or it's still hanging on your wall because you don't know what to put in its place. You can't find something particularly you're looking for. So you might consider taking it down, gessoing over it, and starting over and creating something of your own. If you don't have a piece, but you have some place to put one, try some of the thrift stores and see what kind of pictures you can get there. Choose something because you like the frame and the size, because you're just gonna cover up whatever's in the center. So keep an eye out for things that you can use to build your own piece of art, and I will be back to walk you through the next step soon. Okay, so this is part 1 of the series, so I hope you'll join me for the other parts. Until then, remember, use what you have to make your life more beautiful. Thanks for joining me. Bye.